They stand like massive tombstones in the middle of Burbank and Culver City. The gates are locked and security guards are guarding nothing but dust. You have never seen the legendary lots of Warner Brothers and Universal look like this. It is not just a slow season or a temporary dip in the production schedules. This is a systematic abandonment of the entertainment capital of the world. Walk down the famous New York streets on the Paramount lot and listen to the silence. There are no trucks idling, no extras rushing to holding, and no directors calling action. The sound stages that birthed the greatest movies in history are sitting in the dark. We are witnessing the end of an era that defined American culture for a century. Thousands of crew members are packing up their homes and leaving the state forever. The industry you thought was invincible is collapsing from the inside out right now. If you think this is an exaggeration, wait until you see the numbers we uncovered. This is the biggest crisis to hit Los Angeles since the Great Depression. Iconic prop houses that survived wars and recessions are auctioning off their inventory. Restaurants that fed movie stars for 40 years are boarding up their windows today. The magic has officially left the building, and it is not coming back anytime soon. We are about to show you the undeniable proof that Hollywood is becoming a ghost town. Subscribe to the channel right now if you want to know the truth about the industry. Comment Hollywood below if you have noticed a decline in your own neighborhood. Prepare yourself for a tour through the ruins of the modern entertainment business. Hook N. The sun rises over Hollywood Hills just as it has for the last 100 years, casting long shadows over the sprawling studio lots that occupy the San Fernando Valley. But something is fundamentally different this morning in 2025 because the usual roar of activity is missing. In years past, a Tuesday morning at a major studio like Universal or Warner Brothers will be a chaotic symphony of movement, with hundreds of white production trucks lining the perimeter and armies of crew members marching toward the sound stages with coffees in hand. Today, the asphalt is bare, stretching out like an empty airport runway, and the massive beige buildings that house the sound stages sit in a heavy, uneasy silence that feels almost unnatural for a place designed to manufacture noise and excitement. It is a visual shock to anyone who has worked in the industry for more than a decade, a stark contrast to the boom times when finding a parking spot on the lot was a gladiatorial sport, and every square inch of space was rented out to 3 different productions at once. The statistical reality backing up this visual emptiness is nothing short of catastrophic, with reports from late 2024 confirming that soundstage occupancy rates in Los Angeles have plummeted to a shocking 63%, a historic low that would have been unthinkable just 5 years ago. This means that nearly half of the available production space in the entertainment capital of the world is currently gathering dust, generating zero revenue, and employing zero people, a vacancy crisis that is bleeding the studios dry of millions of dollars every single month. We are not talking about the obscure, small rental stages on the outskirts of town that always struggle during lean times. We are talking about the crown jewels of the industry, the historic lots where The Wizard of Oz and Friends were filmed, now sitting dormant. The ripple effect of the silence is immediate and visceral when you walk past the commissaries and cafes on these lots, places that used to be buzzing hives of networking and gossip, now operating with skeleton crews, serving a handful of executives who look just as worried as everyone else. You can feel the anxiety hanging in the air, a thick tension that has replaced the creative manic energy that used to fuel this city, as everyone from the gate guards to the remaining maintenance staff wonders how much longer this can possibly go on before the lights go out for good. On location filming, the practice of shooting on the actual streets of Los Angeles has dropped by over 22% in the first quarter of 2025 alone, a staggering decline that has turned formerly busy filming neighborhoods into quiet residential zones once again. Residents who used to complain about the bright lights and the late-night noise of film crews are now noticing a different kind of problem. The eerie quiet of a local economy that has lost its primary engine, leaving a void that no other industry is stepping up to fill. The decline is most visible in the television sector, which has historically been the bread and butter of the Los Angeles production machine, providing steady, year-round employment for tens of thousands of workers who rely on consistency of long-running series. TV drama production is down by over 30%, a crash that has decimated the workforce, because these are the shows that require the biggest crews, the most construction and the longest shooting schedules, and without them, the ecosystem begins to starve. It is not just that the shows are being canceled. It is that new ones are not being greenlit to replace them, creating a generation gap in content that will be felt for years to come, leaving empty slots in the schedule and empty bank accounts for the crew members who build the sets. This ghost town phenomenon is not a metaphor. It is a literal description of the vast, industrial spaces of North Hollywood and Burbank, where the rental houses and lumber yards that supply the studios are sitting with their gates locked in the middle of the work week. If you drive down the streets where the equipment rental companies are located, you will see rows of grip trucks and lighting generators parked in the yards, baking in the sun, vehicles that should be out on set earning money, but are instead depreciating assets anchoring a dying business model. The silence is perhaps loudest at the craft service tables, or rather, the places where they used to be, because the armies of caterers and food truck operators who fed this industry have largely vanished, their contracts dried up, and their phones silent. This visual evidence is the real proof that the headlines are afraid to fully articulate, the physical manifestation of a corporate strategy that has decided that making movies in Hollywood is simply no longer a priority for conglomerates that own the studios. But the emptiness of the lots is just the surface level of the disaster. The true horror story is found in the casualty list of small businesses and historic institutions that are being wiped off the map as a direct result of this production shutdown. Take, for example, the heartbreaking closure of Faux Library Studio Props in North Hollywood, a legendary institution that supplied the industry with fake books and antique furniture for over 2 decades, helping address the sets of countless classic films and television shows. When a place like Faux Library closes its doors, it is not just a business failing. It is a library of cultural history being dismantled and sold off to the highest bidder, a tragic liquidation of the artifacts that made Hollywood movies look and feel real. The owners were forced to auction off their massive collection, a chaotic fire sale, where props that had been carefully curated for 24 years were scattered to the wind, purchased by collectors or other rental houses that are themselves struggling to survive. This is happening all over the city, from costume rental houses that have outfitted Oscar winners to specialized fabrication shops that built the spaceships and monsters of our collective childhoods, all of them falling like dominoes in a slow-motion economic collapse. The iconic restaurants and delis that served as the unofficial meeting rooms for the industry are also vanishing. Places like Papa Cristo's, which have faced immense struggles, signaling that the rot has spread from the sound stages to the very fabric of the community. Behind every one of these closures is a human tragedy, a family that has lost its income, a staff of loyal employees who are suddenly unemployed in the city with one of the highest costs of living in the United States, with no safety net to catch them. We are seeing a surge in unemployment among below-the-line workers, the grips, electricians, carpenters, and makeup artists, that is reaching catastrophic levels, with some union locals reporting unemployment rates as high as 80 or 90% among their members. These are highly skilled artisans who have spent their entire lives mastering a specific craft, only to find that their skills are suddenly worthless in a city that has stopped building the things they know how to build, forcing them to take jobs in retail or drive for Uber just to survive. Reddit forums and industry message boards are filled with desperate posts from veterans with 30 years of experience who are losing their homes, selling their tools, and moving back in with their parents because the phone hasn't rung in 6 months. The emotional toll of this crisis is incalculable, creating a mental health epidemic within the industry as the people who build the Dream Factory realize that the dream does not include them anymore, and that the loyalty they showed to the studios was a one-way street. It is a hollowing out of the middle class of Los Angeles, the invisible army of workers who made the magic happen, now being discarded like used props, while the executives who made the decisions that led to this crash continue to collect their bonuses. The local economy of Los Angeles is losing billions of dollars annually due to this contraction, a financial black hole that is affecting everything from real estate prices in the valley to the tax revenue that funds the city's schools and infrastructure. You cannot simply remove an industry the size of Hollywood from a city like Los Angeles without expecting a total systemic failure. And that is exactly what we are witnessing in real time, a slow-motion car crash that everyone saw coming but nobody did anything to stop. So, where did all the work go if it is not in Los Angeles? The answer lies in the Great Exodus, a massive migration of capital and production capacity to territories that have aggressively courted the studios with tax incentives and cheaper labor. While the stages in Burbank sit empty, the United Kingdom is in the middle of a historic production boom. with massive new facilities like the expansion at Warner Brothers Studios Leavesden and the new Crown Work Studios in Sunderland rising from the ground. These are not small, temporary setups. These are state-of-the-art megastudios that rival anything in Hollywood, built specifically to house the biggest blockbusters that used to be the exclusive domain of California, effectively stealing the crown jewels of industry. The UK government has made it a national priority to capture the film industry, offering generous tax rebates that make it significantly cheaper to shoot a massive superhero movie in London than in Los Angeles. Even when you factor in the cost of flying the cast and crew across the Atlantic, it is not just the UK. It is Georgia, it is Canada, it is Hungary, places that have looked at the Hollywood business model and said, we can do this cheaper and we will build the infrastructure to prove it. And the studios have responded by packing their bags. This phenomenon, known as runaway production, has been a threat for decades, but in 2025 it has become a total rout, a complete structural shift where Los Angeles is no longer the default hub but merely one expensive option among many global competitors. You can see the difference in the skyline of cities like Atlanta and Toronto, where cranes are building new sound stages as fast as they can, while in Los Angeles, developers are wondering if they should convert existing studio lots into condos or warehouses for Amazon. The irony is bitter. The American film industry is now largely a British or Canadian industry funded by American dollars, with the cultural product still being sold as Hollywood entertainment, even though it has never touched California soil. This exodus is driven by a cold, hard corporate logic that values the bottom line above all else, a spreadsheet mentality that sees a location solely as a cost center, ignoring the creative synergy and historical legacy that made Los Angeles unique. The result is a fragmented global industry where a film might be written in Los Angeles, shot in London, with visual effects done in Montreal, and music recorded in Prague, leaving the traditional home of cinema with nothing but the administrative offices. But even this global spread doesn't fully explain the ghost towns, because there's a deeper, more sinister force at work, which brings us to the new austerity, a fundamental change in how the studios operate in the post-streaming war era. For a decade, the industry was fueled by the streaming wars, a period of insane spending where Netflix, Disney, Amazon, and Apple were throwing billions of dollars at any idea that could be filmed in a desperate race to acquire subscribers. That bubble has officially burst, and the hangover is brutal. The studios have realized that the streaming model is not as profitable as the old cable TV model, and Wall Street has demanded that they stop chasing growth and start showing actual profits. The result is a massive contraction in the number of projects being greenlit. Instead of making 50 movies a year, a studio might now make 20, and they will be safer, cheaper, and more guaranteed to return a profit, leaving no room for the risky mid-budget films that used to employ so many people. We are seeing a shift away from scripted drama towards unscripted content, reality TV, and game shows, which are infinitely cheaper to produce and require a fraction of the crew, further depressing the job market for skilled narrative filmmakers. And looming over all of this is the specter of artificial intelligence, the technology that was at the center of the 2023 strikes, and which continues to advance at a terrifying pace, offering the studios a way to cut costs even further by automating tasks. Why hire 100 extras for a crowd scene when you can skin 5 people and use AI to populate a stadium? Why build a physical set when you can shoot on a volume stage with digital backgrounds generated by an algorithm? This is the existential threat that makes the current ghost town status feel permanent. It feels like the industry is not just in a cycle of recession, but in a cycle of obsolescence, where the physical act of filmmaking is being replaced by digital synthesis. The fear among the workers is that the jobs aren't just in London or Atlanta. They are in the cloud, they are in the servers, they are gone forever, replaced by code that doesn't need a union, doesn't need lunch breaks, and doesn't need a salary. This new austerity means that even if production ticks back up slightly, it will never return to the levels of 2019 or 2021. The peak TV era is over, and we are entering a new dark age of efficiency and consolidation. The empty lots we see today are the physical manifestation of this new philosophy, a stripped-down, lean and mean industry that shed its excess weight, not caring that the excess weight was actually the livelihoods of thousands of human beings. This is the real proof of the ghost town. It is not just a lack of cars in the parking lot. It is a lack of hope in the eyes of the people who are still trying to hang on, the realization that the party is over and the lights are being turned off one by one. The history of Hollywood is a history of reinvention, from silent films to talkies, from black and white to color, from theatrical to television. But this transition feels different, more violent, and more final than anything that has come before. We are watching the dismantling of a century-old industrial complex, the unraveling of the specialized network of talent and infrastructure that made Los Angeles the dream factory of the world. And it is happening in plain sight. So the next time you watch a movie and see the Made in Hollywood credit, remember that it is likely a lie, a relic of a bygone era, and that the real story is happening on the empty streets of Burbank, where the wind blows to the deserted studio gates. The ghost town is real. The proof is in the numbers, and the tragedy is in the stories of the people left behind, standing in the ruins of an empire that decided it didn't need them anymore. The iconic studios may still be standing, but the soul of the place has been hollowed out, shipped overseas, or deleted by a line of code, leaving behind only the shell of what was once the greatest show on Earth. As we move further into 2025, the question is no longer when we'll come back, but rather, what will we do now that it is gone? A question that every grip writer and actor in Los Angeles is asking themselves as they look at the silent stages. This is the reality of the industry today. A landscape of vacancies, a ledger of losses, and a city that is slowly waking up to the nightmare that the movies have moved on, leaving the dreamers behind in the dust. It is a sobering, heartbreaking conclusion, but one that we must face if we are to understand the future of entertainment.